So Shamugam Prabhu, kindly share with us, your experiences at the yatra and your realization. I know you have already started, but you can just continue from where you just stopped.
Okay, okay, Prabhu. Then from then we went to Manas Mandir also.
Okay.
All are wonderful places, Prabhu. Then we went Sangat Manochan Hanuman Temple, and this one is they believe whatever obstruction, distress the devotees have, you go there, then he will remove it. The Hanumanji is there to help. Then we went to Ashwamedha Ghat. Then we went to the Kasi Vishwanath Temple, Prabhu. Uh,
I heard there's a nice corridor now built, no?
yes,
Everything's cleared up and all, no?
yes. This well organized, Prabhu, very nice. Then the darshan also very good. Now I think they allow in three directional, Prabhu. So no, the waiting time also not so much, Prabhu.
Very
Then
nice.
we also saw the Ganga Aarti. Amazing, Prabhu. The Ganga Aarti.
On the guards of
Yes,
Ganga. Okay.
yes, Prabhu.
In
Very
Banaras.
good.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. So then the Tridev Mandir also we went there where the Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva is there. So these are all the place we cover in Varanasi, Prabhu. But Prabhu, even you stay for 1 week, there are many places to cover,
Yeah.
Prabhu. You can just like go and pay our obeisance, then come only, Prabhu.
Very nice, Prabhu. Very
Then
nice.
after that, the next day we went to Ayodhya, Prabhu. Then Ayodhya, yeah, so good, Prabhu. Then we went to the Ram temple because they opened at 7 o'clock. We also went early there. Since we went early, there is no much queue. Then we got a very good darshan. By God's grace, they allow us to wait there for a few minutes. Then we got a good darshan of Lord Ram. So it's really very wonderful, Prabhu.
Nice.
Then from there, then we went to Hanuman Gadi,
Yeah.
and yeah, after
How was the
Hanuman,
crowd at Hanuman Gadi?
oh, Prabhu, kilometers, Prabhu.
It's crazy. Like, it's yeah, because you see, at the Ayodhya temple, it's like a huge corridor, a long corridor. So somehow the crowd is nicely dispersed.
Yes,
By
yes,
the time you reach the temple, it's a single line, etc.
yes,
But in
correct.
Hanuman Gadi temple, there's no such facility, and therefore everyone is just rushing in, and it's like a steep climb up.
It's like a Puri, Prabhu. The
Yeah.
Puri is not. I can say Puri is also not as congested like this, Prabhu. Puri
Yeah.
is still well organized, but this one is a very long queue, Prabhu.
Okay.
Uh, then, but when you
So when
go
I
there,
went there with the devotees in December, what we did was there's a mithai wala selling sweets at the side.
yeah.
You just need to buy some sweets from him, and then you can take a secret corridor up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't know, Prabhu, but one of the devotee, they know we are coming from far. They help us to go to the shorter queue. That means we no need to stay at the end. They bring
Ah,
us to near to the steps there. Then easier. It's only shorter time, Prabhu. Yeah, so it's nice. Then we also saw the Bal Ruba Ram, the baby form of the Bal Ruba. There is a small temple there uh, along the road. Then we went there. Then we went to the Dasarath Palace. That's called Dasarath Bhavan. All so good, Prabhu. This is the first time I'm going all these places, Prabhu. So okay. Then the Kanak Bhavan. Kanak Bhavan is they call Kanak means gold, correct, Prabhu?
yes,
The
yes. So
whole
that was
palace.
given by Kaikai na, to
Yes,
to Sita.
yes. So we also went there. So good, Prabhu. Then Sarayu River. They call Sarayu Ghat.
Ah.
Yeah, so I think these are the places we cover in
Did you go to Saket?
Sakit. No, Prabhu.
So Saket is the exact spot where Lord Ram left the universe, left
Yeah,
the material
yeah.
world.
So it's a bit raining that time,
Ah,
so we didn't manage to go there, Prabhu.
okay. So that's one nice place actually. Very, very nice. Very well developed right now, Prabhu. Very
Mm.
beautiful. It's again, on the Sarayu River. In fact, 1 month before Lord Ram left, he
Mm.
invited everyone, whoever wants to go back to the spiritual world, you can come along. So
Mm.
1 month, the entire population of Ayodhya, etc., they all came over to Saket, this place.
Very good,
And then
Prabhu.
there's one more place where Dasarath, Lord Ram's father, was cremated. He was preserved in the oil, right? And then he was cremated. So that's another very nice place. The next time when you go, you can actually visit.
Yeah, I like to go down, Prabhu. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu.
And then how was your experience at Kumbh?
Kumbh Mela, oh, amazing, Prabhu. Prabhu, before start, I need to thank the whole organizing team. Really, they done an amazing job, Prabhu. You know, the crowd, so much crowd, but it's well planned, well executed, well managed, and well arranged, Prabhu. To me, Prabhu, because the crowd is you can see only devotees, Prabhu. You cannot see anything. The whole road are like 100 feet road. I can see only devotees. Everywhere you see only devotees, and the devotees is full of crowd, but it is well managed. And we reached there on 12th. Uh, Luckily, we went on 12th, Prabhu, so they allow us to go in. So after 12th evening, we reached there. I think after 12 evening, they block for 6 kilometers, they block all the roads. And it's very high security, and they don't allow any taxi or any other vehicle to enter. And even the auto also from one zone to another zone also not allowed to enter. So it's full security, Prabhu. Then they have so many roadblocks. Then so that only they can able to manage the crowd. And if we didn't go on the 12 early, then we may end up walking the 6 kilometers, Prabhu, to reach the place.
Wow.
So it's I think Bhagavan somehow bring us on the 12th, so we managed to go enter in.
Okay.
Then on the 13th and 14th, they say is the auspicious day, the
Yeah.
main day you can take a dip. So 13th, we went and take a dip. Then 14th, by your guidance, we also wake up 1 a.m. Then we walk all the way to uh, the Triveni Sangam there. Then we waited for a while. Thought we may those Nagasadhus may come, but they say they're coming only 5:30. Might be in the different places. And so we took a dip at 4:30 a.m. Prabhu, because they say during the Brahma Muhurta time is so good and the whole place is crowded, Prabhu, but as I say, it's well managed. Then we went and have a dip at 4:30 a.m. Then after that, we come and we waited for to see the all the sadhus, Prabhu. So they come around 5:30 like that
Yeah,
for the
yeah, yeah.
whole
It's an
battalion.
amazing experience,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
The whole the so big people crowds. We cannot go in, Prabhu, because they have two sides. They are fully barricaded. Only they are allowed to come in. Only media people and they are allowed to go in, Prabhu. And they also have a separate place for them to take the bath. Then once they finish the bath, they come back again, Prabhu.
Very nice, Prabhu. Wonderful experience. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Good. I'm so happy for you. I think all of us are so happy for you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, all because of your prayers and our devotees' prayers.
Oh,
We all
yeah.
so
No, I
blissful.
think it's important to have that intention and the desire. If you have the intention and the desire, then Krishna willing, it will happen. So
You are correct, Prabhu. So this one, I think all devotees must take note. If you have a very strong desire, then Lord will make a plan for us to go. The
yeah,
desire is very, very important, Prabhu.
yeah.
Yes.
Because I mean, you have just shared your realizations, etc. And so Venkatesh, he came from Australia and he has been like, maybe it's the wrong choice of words, but he has been like asking me again and again, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. How do I do this? And somehow he managed to get a nice devotee in Vrindavan to bring him around.
Yes.
And then, because of your going there, he also managed to go to Kumbh.
Kumbh Mela.
Unfortunately, he works Australia time zone, and therefore he's not able to be on this call right now. Otherwise, he wanted to also share.
Mm.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you very much. Thank you. And
Thank you, Prabhu.
yeah, we wish you many more yatras, with your family, with Chitra Mataji.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really nice.
There are a few other places we learned, Prabhu, Chitrakot, Naimisharnyam, and
Oh, you went to Naimishranya,
yes,
right?
Prabhu.
So, our Bhagavatam class is actually
Yes, Prabhu.
discussed at Naim Mishranya, right?
Yes,
So,
Prabhu. Under the leadership of Saunaka Rishi, Prabhu. Yeah.
yes,
Saunaka Rishi is the one did the yagya, then the Sutta Goswami did the Bhagavatam discourse over there, Prabhu. Then Vyasa also wrote all the Vedas there, Prabhu, because he was at Himalaya due to the disturbance of river Saraswati. He came to Naimisharyam to complete all the balance of the Vedas and the right Mahabharata also.
correct. So
Mm.
actually, Naim Mishranya is called the hub of the universe, you know. So if you put a huge wheel,
Mhm.
right, the entire universe is the perimeter, and this is exactly the hub, the
Yes,
center of
Prabhu.
the entire universe. Yeah.
There is one Sakara Tirth Nabi Gaya, Prabhu. The
Okay.
Yeah, they say this is the Nabi, the center. What you say is what you said, and they say when you take a dip and the circumference, the one I think is very good. They told us, Prabhu. And when you go, it's amazing. Prabhu. It's coming from the center. Then the water is keep flowing. We don't know how these things happen, also, Prabhu.
Okay, okay, okay.
Uh,
Nice. I have not been to Naimishranya. I've only been to Shukratal, which is the exact place where Parikshit Maharaj spoke the Bhagavatam.
oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you,
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank
thank
you.
you. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay, so we, yeah, thank Shamugam Prabhu for sharing his inspirational story. And I hope all of us will take some time out of our busy time, our busy schedules to, invest a little bit of time in such experiences. All right, so let's begin with our class. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who had established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and onto the feet of all the Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami along with his elder brother Sanatan Goswami, as well as Raghunath Das and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. Oh my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishvabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I now offer my respectful obeisances to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold and who is the queen of Vrindavan. You are the daughter of King Vishwabhanu and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhaevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I now offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Why? Because they can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. And finally, I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivas, and all others in the line of devotion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances onto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, onto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, onto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and onto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayashta Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki. And by regular attendance in the classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service onto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Okay. So, just a gentle reminder, next week is Ratha Yatra. All right, it's at the Woodland Stadium on Sunday. So I've sent the poster to you. Try to make it if you can. It will be great for you to, pull the Rath of the Lord. Unfortunately, I will not be around because, unfortunate for me, I will not be around. I'm actually traveling. I'm trying to visit my spiritual master for his appearance day, for his birthday. For us, in our tradition, we call this the Vyasa Puja. So, so my wife and I, we are trying to see how we can actually make it for the Vyasa Puja. I'm actually going to India for some work too. So just trying to, put it all together. So there are 30 verses in chapter number 27, Canto number 3. Essentially, KapilaDeva, Lord Kapila, is explaining to his mother, right, about devotional service. And right now, KapilaDeva, or Lord KapilaDeva, is going to be speaking on the concept of material nature and its implication for understanding this whole material existence. Okay, it's a really profound dialogue between the Lord and his mother. Right? And there's going to be an amazing discussion between the soul and the material nature. Okay? So once again, this is a dialogue, right, which explains the significance of having spiritual knowledge, right? Because once we have this gyan, it allows us to develop ourselves spiritually. It also allows us to reflect on this understanding of our true self, our relationship with the Lord, right? So Devahuti, she's being very, very curious, wanting to ask her son, who is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, about, how can she ensure that this is the final life for her in this material world. Actually, she's not asking for herself, she's asking for us, right? And therefore, Lord Kapila's role is as a teacher, demonstrating the crucial aspect of guidance in navigating the spiritual path. Okay. So then this whole chapter speaks about the material nature or prakriti. So last week, Kishan Prabhu spoke a little bit or discussed a little bit on the material nature with you. Today, we will go a little bit deeper. Right? So once again, we need to remember that this material world, this material nature is transient, right? At the time of creation, it is produced at the time of dissolution, it goes back into the Lord's body. All right. So this is just a transient nature of the Lord's external manifestation. Okay. So then we will also go a little bit into the relationship between the soul and the body. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 2, we learned very, very, very succinctly that the soul is eternal, right? And this material body is given to us based on our desires, based on our thought process at the time of the death of the previous body. It's based on our karma, etc. Right? But the soul is eternal. Right? There was never a time when the soul did not exist, and there will never be a time in the future where the soul does not exist. If we use our material mental capacity, we will not be able to appreciate this. Because for us, in the material world, everything has a start and an end. And therefore, it becomes really hard for us to understand this concept. Okay? But then, just as the Supreme Lord, just as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He has got no beginning and no end. Similarly, we as the spirit soul, we have no beginning and no end. We have been around eternally, right? So another very important concept is there are some spiritual paths where the belief is that one should aspire for liberation, where at the end of our life, once we are liberated, we merge into the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, or the brightness of the Lord. Right? But then, even if we merge into the Brahman effulgence, we still maintain our individuality. All right? Because this verse from the Bhagavad Gita explains that there was never a time when we will never cease to exist. Right? So it's not that, when we merge in, we also become God. No, we are still existing as an individual soul. But then that individual soul in the Brahman effulgence will feel that, hey, what do I do now? All right? Because the quality of the soul, or the constitutional position of the soul, is to always serve, to engage in activities. And therefore, once the soul merges into the Brahman effulgence and still retains its individuality, the soul feels bored, and therefore the soul will have to come back into the material world. But if the same soul has aspired to become, constantly in devotion to the Lord, then that soul at the end of life goes back into Goloka Vrindavan. All right, instead of being born again in this material world. Okay, during one of my Bhakti Yoga classes, actually, last week, one of the participants asked, I was speaking about karma and the soul, etc. And the person was saying, yeah, actually, I realized that the practice which I have right now in my religion, it explains a little bit, but it doesn't go deep into all of this. That is the amazing thing about Vedanta. This is the amazing thing about Sanatana Dharma. When we are in primary school, we are given a dictionary, right? Oxford Dictionary. But then when we go to secondary school, when we go to university, etc., if we continue studying English, you'll realize the university, the dictionary becomes thicker and thicker and thicker. All right. And that's what Sanatana Dharma is all about. All right. So, for example, the word love in a primary school dictionary will have 3 meanings, but the same word love, all right, in the postgraduate dictionary will have 100 different meanings. And therefore, while, this relationship with the Lord, spirituality, is covered in a very preliminary way in certain religions, Sanatana Dharma actually goes deep into the material, into the nature of the soul, into spirituality, into developing a loving exchange with the Lord. All right. And that's the amazing thing about, what we are actually given on the platter. But the sad thing is, we do not appreciate this. A lot of people do not appreciate this. And therefore, you see many of them are leaving our Sanatan Dharma and going into other practices. At the end of the day, Srila Prabhupada says that if you are a Christian, become a good Christian. If you're a Muslim, become a good Muslim. All right? Which means that ensure that you are wholeheartedly practicing it. Okay. But the point I'm trying to make is that Sanatan Dharma really goes deep into our relationship with the Lord. I'll take a 1 minute pause and ask if any of you have any realizations to share, while I get some water for myself. Anyone?
This is a very good point like you told Prabhuji about our religion going very deep and explaining. Because yes, other religions also talk about spirituality, also talk about all this. They start, but they don't finish. They don't finish, and they don't give the whole picture. So I believe, yes, what you said is it resonates, that it gives the soul's entire journey and doesn't leave him in the middle, like just merge. Because a lot of religions say, I know that the goal of the goal of the soul is to merge with the with the ultimate, but that is not the complete story. Yeah. So this is this is like like brought out by you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Ravinder Prabhu, anything you'd like to add?
I mean, there are some commonalities across religions. The idea of a supreme being, a supreme light, maybe. But then for Sanatan Dharma, of course, we believe the idea of understanding who we are, who is God, how do we make our relationship with God stronger. The idea of who is God in different religions will, of course, differ. The idea of who we are, whether we are a spirit soul or not, whether we are reincarnated or not, differs across religions. But the similarity is, I find the important is to find connections across religions and tell people that, hey, no, we have to have a loving relationship with who you identify or as God. But of course, in the course of doing so, become a better person. To serve others and to actually go deeper within yourself to know who you really are. I think maybe that's the one of the things that we need to understand across religions. Of course, within Sanatan Dharma, we are privileged as spirit souls born in this universe, born into Hinduism for most of us. And we should take advantage of that fact and maybe connect with others better and help others become better spiritually and materially in this world, become better human beings. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right. So when you think about material nature, right? If you watch today's reflection on the chanting process, which I'd sent in the morning. So Kartikeya Prabhu explains very nicely that, there's a wonderful analogy of this small little bird, right? Just born, and the mother is looking after it. The mother goes out to look for food, and this small little bird is very, very mischievous, and it falls all the way from the nest, all right, onto the ground, and it's screaming, screaming. And then the mother goes into the nest and starts feeding the rest of the birdlets without realizing that she has lost one of the children. And then she hears the child, calling out for help. That is how we should be chanting, right? So that's exactly an amazing analogy of how we came from the spiritual world into this material world, right? Out of curiosity, out of wanting to enjoy separately from the Supreme Lord, right? Wanted to enjoy separately. And that's how we ended up in this material world. So it's all about the role of our desire and our desire to enjoy independently, and then the attachment to the material once we are here. All right. So that is actually the cause of the suffering. It's our desire and our attachment. Those are the main causes of our suffering. And those are the causes which makes us reincarnate again and again and again into this material world, right? So it's important for us to cultivate this detachment, all right? So I had quite a number of discussions before, and Shalini Mataji will always answer this question. How do you know that you are getting detached? Or what is the litmus test of one's spirituality? The litmus test of one's spirituality is that one will become less and less attached to the material. All right. As one engages more in the chanting process, more in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, more in meditating and visualizing the Supreme Lord, then automatically the sin propensity, the attachment propensity, all of that will be reduced. Okay. But it's important that while we are doing all of this, we are also engaging in the right modes. All right. It doesn't, so just associating with folks who are in the mode of ignorance, or ignorance and passion, can actually pull us back to status quo. And therefore, we have to be very, very careful in the pursuit of these higher goals. Right? Because once we achieve these higher goals, we don't have to come back into this material world. But even while we are in this material world, once we engage in devotional service, another litmus test is you become very, very santosh, very, very contented, right? And, you feel fulfilled, right? I'm not sure how many of you have felt it. I have not felt it yet. So this is still looking very theoretical. But, the contentment will be there. Malti Mataji, Hare Krishna. So Malti Mataji,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Renuka and a few of us, we went to the Kumbh Mela 6 years ago. It was a wonderful experience. And of course, I got really sick on the way back. I was so sick on the way back. That's the Lord's way of punishing me, probably. Anyway, so let's move on. Right, so now we are getting into the teachings of Lord Kapila, chapter number 27. So KapilaDeva, or Lord Kapila, starts by explaining what's the cause of this conditioning. All right, it's the false identification with material nature. We feel that this material nature is a permanent entity for us. All right, but the solution is gradually controlling our mind through bhakti, through yoga, and also detachment from this material nature. All right. And then he moves on to explain that, we need to attain liberation, but the liberation is not about merging into the Brahman effulgence. No. That liberation is to liberate to the Goloka Vrindavan so that we can continue serving the Lord. Right? How do you do it? Yes. KapilaDeva is explaining that Astanga Yoga is the process of doing this. But it's important to realize this Astanga Yoga is just the means to purifying our consciousness so that we can engage in Bhakti Yoga. But that's not really required. Of course, when KapilaDeva was explaining this to Mother Devahuti, that is Satya Yoga, all right, where, the process of reaching out to the Lord was through yoga, through meditation, etc. Right? But then this is Kali Yuga, where we can actually get onto the elevator immediately by engaging in Bhakti Yoga. All right. Later on, I'll speak a little bit about this. And then, KapilaDeva also explains the 18 qualities to cultivate. Right? And then, the Lord also explains about his own characteristics and how we can meditate upon this to transcend these material bonds which we have, right? Which is engaging in devotional service so that we can come out of this inclination to be bound by this material nature. Okay, then there are some discussions about the soul, and the soul with the material covering, without the material covering, what's the difference? And then KapilaDeva's guidance to the mother, which is, engage in intense bhakti over a long time, listen about devotional service, chant the Lord's name, and then you will come back home, back to Godhead. Right? So while material nature is so powerful, why so powerful? Because firstly, it is under the jurisdiction of Goddess Durga. And secondly, the material nature is none other than the external energy of the Lord. Very, very powerful, right? Consisting of the three modes of material nature. Modes of goodness, modes of passion, modes of ignorance. But at the same time, these three modes cannot harm an enlightened soul. Okay? Someone who has come out of the grips of these three modes of material nature cannot be trapped. All right? But okay, it's important for this person to continue the process, because the moment we are complacent, that is when, all right, Maya Devi will say, haha, I'll get you. And then we get stuck again. All right. So there will be times when we will feel, wow, feeling so good. I'm feeling so spiritually inclined. I think I'm doing all the right things. But then the moment we become complacent, and it's very easy to get complacent. Okay. This is the material world. Every step, there will be, distractions. But then, you know what? Every time we fall, we need that resilience to wake up fast. That's what the definition of resilience is, right? You fall and then quickly you wake up. Quickly you wake up. This whole process of building resilience also tells us after some time that, am I like the race horse? All right, just going round and round and round. And then, we need a stage in life where we ask ourselves, is this what we need to do? Or can I be totally intentional about wanting to be 100% absorbed in the Lord? Okay? So without the mercy of the Lord, we cannot be liberated also. So it's a two-way process. You do your part, and then the Lord, if the Lord so desires, can bring us back home, back to Godhead. But then the check is Maya. Because Maya is serving the Lord with 100% due diligence. And therefore, she's not going to be allowing any mediocre person to go back home, back to Godhead. Because she is concerned that this person will go and create havoc over there. Right? And therefore, she will do enough, due diligence check on us to ensure that we are ready. Renuka, have you anything to add? No? Okay. She's busy with her weeks. Okay. All right. So before getting into, verse by verse, I just wanted to also share with you some slides which I just done for another class. So the root cause of our sinful reactions, okay, is number one, avidya, forgetting our spiritual identity. Number two, because we are in the material world, because we are bombarded by the three modes of material nature, our cravings for worldly pleasure will fuel the sinful reaction. Okay. Point number three is very, very important, and it can make or break the game. Okay. What do I mean by that? Our past sinful actions is actually seeding a lot of tendencies in us. Okay, so for example, all right, I know that gambling is bad. I engage in some gambling, and I know that, maybe illicit sex is bad. I engage in this kind of activities. So I've already done the sin, all right, and we learn in our Bhagavad Gita classes that when we engage in a sinful activity, we are planting the bija or the seed. And the seed will then become a plant. And then when it fructifies, all right, when it fructifies, that is when I get the just taste of my medicine. Okay. So between this seeding and the fructification, there is some time. All right. But during this time, what is happening is these sins which I have incurred, they are reinforcing tendencies towards repeated sins. So So the entire practice of austerity is to tell myself that, yes, I have sinned, maybe in my past life or last month or 1 week, etc. But when that craving comes, when that desire comes, when that lustful tendencies comes, austerity is defined as our ability to tell ourselves that I am not going to listen to my mind. Okay, I'm not going to listen to my mind, because as a spirit soul, right, my intelligence should be able to tell my mind that this is wrong. Okay, so this point number 3 is something which, we may not have discussed previously in our class, but remember that once we have sinned, that tendency to sin further is exemplified. I'll take a pause here to see if anyone has any questions. Any questions? Shalini Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
No problems, don't worry.
Yeah.
And happy Republic Day to all of you.
Happy Republic Day, Prabhuji.
Priyanka has gone for raising the flag.
Yeah.
Was not able to. Point number 3, does it make sense?
Am I?
Yes,
yeah.
yes. You're audible.
I was not able to hear it from laptop, so I have switched on the phone also.
Okay.
And it's giving echo effect.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, this is a really new thing, what says that we should always refrain ourselves from doing anything negative, because even if we do it once, we have the tendency to repeat it again.
Yes, Madhuri.
And what I can understand, we can control what we are doing now, but what we have done in our previous karmas is even beyond our control.
Correct. That is why when we do prayaschit, right, there are processes of prayaschit, which is, asking for forgiveness for our sins. All right. But that process of prayaschit, it's like the elephant, which has got so much of dirt on its body, goes into the water, washes himself up, but then the same elephant then comes out and takes the mud and blows on itself again. All right. So this prayaschit is not really a 100% foolproof way of coming out of this cycle of karma. But devotional service is the foolproof way. All right. Another analogy apart from this elephant is the analogy of a forest fire. Right? A forest fire can, burn the forest up. All right. But then what happens is the forest fire, most of the time, sometimes is underground, but most of the time it burns the plants. But you see the saplings or the root system is still intact. And once it gets some water, it will start growing again. All right. So this is what the prayaschit does. Yes. The prayaschit, asking for forgiveness, may, if the Lord desires, forgive us for our past sins. But the tendency to keep on sinning will remain. That tendency can only be halted if we engage in devotional service. So when we engage in devotional service, right, whatever is aprabada, meaning that already yet to fructify, and also the tendency, all of that will be stopped. Okay, I'm coming to that part actually, Shalini, very, very shortly. All right, so breaking the cycle of sin, engage in devotional service, And then point number 3, it's important for us to remember that karma will reinforce tendencies towards repeated sins. And therefore, I need to tolerate those sinful desires. We need to avoid the reinforcement of these sinful tendencies. And when the Lord realizes that you are practicing austerity to control yourself, the Lord will also be pleased, and if the Lord so desires, he can help us. Third is to follow the regulative principles of freedom. All right, you may be thinking, all of us, right? No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, and no illicit sex. What kind of freedom is this? Actually, they are still called the regulative principles of freedom because they are freeing us from this material world. And fourthly, surrendering to God, Krishna. Only God can nullify our karma completely. So coming back to Shalini's point about, what about those aprabada, which are not manifested yet? I've already done that sin, but they are not manifested yet. What can I do about that? Engaging in devotional service, the Lord can, if he so desires, even clean all of that up. Okay, so that they are not like, something which can sprout out again. All right, so sinful reactions do not arise instantly. Very important. I've already spoken earlier on. You start and then it ends, right? Give me a minute. Okay, right. So there's a starting process and then there's an ending process. Sorry, there's a starting where you seed, all right, seed the karmic action and then the reaction which we get after some time. Okay, and then remember the karma or the actions will have both the manifest and the unmanifest sequences. Unmanifest means they are waiting for the right time to give us that enjoyment if those activities were good activities, or a suffering if those activities were not aligned to Dharma. So understanding the process of sin formation is crucial for breaking us from this cycle. Right? So these are, some definitions. So early on I used the word parabda, meaning that these are dormant karma waiting to manifest. Kutam means I've already done one sin, but then that sinful tendencies, okay, they are always coming again and again. My mind is not able to control. I want to do it again and again. All right. So for example, a pickpocket, right? Once the person has done once, it gives him so much of confidence. Hey, I have the thrill of doing it again and again, thinking that it will not be caught. So bijam is the seed of sin where I've actually pickpocketed the first time round, and kutam are the tendencies to want to do it again and again. Okay, and finally, the prarabdha is, okay, I get caught and I go to the police, I go to the jail. Okay, so that is the manifested reaction. By the way, this punishment by the penal codes or, by the prison services, the police force, etc. The thinking is that, okay, it's punitive, but it is actually assisting the criminal from having to come again into the next life to suffer that sins. Okay. So the Lord somehow also takes into account whatever, the jail terms or, whatever difficulties a criminal goes through, all right, as part of the legal system. That is also part of the manifested sins, so that the criminal will not have to incur this in the next life. Okay, so the types of suffering will be direct sufferings, tangible consequences like illness or emotional pain, and indirect sufferings, which are reinforced tendencies towards repetitive cycles of sins. Okay, any questions on this? And now we are going to get into the actual Bhagavatam proper. Anuj Prabhu, you must have studied all of this in Bhakti Shastri.
Yeah, a little bit, but we are focusing only on Bhagavad Gita, Prabhuji. So yeah, all this.
Okay, once you go to Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, then you will learn all of this.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the ways in which to break from the cycle of sin, or maybe to go deeper into understanding of the Lord, is to seek guru initiation. And one of the things that we can do better as spirit souls is to seek guidance from guru's instructions. But I've read in many places where if the guru initiates you, the guru takes on your sin. Is that true?
Yes, the guru takes on your sins, but he takes it on as a buffer. All right, he takes it on as a buffer. So this is a pot of sins which, Pradeep Kumar has given to His Holiness Bhaktivigna Vinash Narasingha Maharaj. But if I do not mend my ways, then this buffer can go back to me. All right, point number one. Point number two, the guru is so strong, or needs to be so strong, as to be able to somehow counteract these sins. All right, this whole counteraction happens by the mercy of the Lord. Okay, the guru feels that he doesn't want his disciples to suffer, and therefore he's very willingly taking this, just like how Jesus Christ, all right, took the sins of those people. Right, but a very important point is this is a buffer, and it can be downloaded back to Pradeep Kumar if I'm not intentional about wanting to change my ways. Anush Prabhu, remember this point, yeah? It's a temporary buffer.
Yeah, very good point, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So we used to have one participant, a very nice Chinese girl. She'll always ask me this question: is it true? When you're initiated, your guru will take away all the sins. I asked her back, what do you think? She says, I want to become a devotee only if all my sins can be taken away. That was her condition. And sadly, she left us. Yeah. Okay, because someone else promised her that, I will take away all your sins. Okay, so temporary buffer. In computer science, we learned this, no? Okay, so now we get into our Bhagavatam proper. So in the previous chapter, Lord KapilaDeva has concluded that simply by beginning the discharge of devotional service, one can attain what Shalini Mataji will always say? Detachment, okay? And transcendental knowledge for understanding the signs of Lord. So you begin the devotional process. You begin just by your intentional. What's happening is Paramatma in your heart, all right, will give you that intelligence on how you can go back to Him, back to Godhead. Okay, so the same principle is actually applied over here, right? In the first verse, the personality of Godhead, Kapila continued to his mother. When the living entity is thus unaffected by the modes of material nature, because he is unchanging and does not claim proprietorship, he remains apart from the reactions of the mode. Although abiding in the material body, just as the sun remains aloof from the reflection of water. Sounds very, very complicated, but let's break this down into a few parts. The living entity is thus unaffected by the modes of material nature. That means the three modes of ignorance, passion, and goodness, they are still there, but then he has a kavacha around him. What is the kavacha consisting of? The kavacha is consisting of essentially him being in the mode of pure goodness. When you are in the mode of pure goodness and you intentionally do not want to be in this remaining three modes, then it is like a kavacha protecting you. All right. So you are unaffected by the modes of material nature. Okay. Because he's unchanging and does not claim proprietorship. Because when one is in pure goodness, he doesn't claim proprietorship. He knows that everything belongs to the Lord. I am here just to use this in the service of the Lord. Whatever is given to me, my titles, my home, my family, they are all, I'm just a custodian. Okay, a custodian of whatever is given to me. I came with zero, I will go back with zero only. All right. and he therefore remains apart from the reactions of the mode. So with devotional service as your weapon, with you being in pure devotional, in pure goodness, with you having that kavacha around you and not allowing the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance affect you, when you are in the right association, then although you are still in this material body, all right, you will not be affected. Okay? So just like when the sun is reflected on water, the movement of the water or the coolness or the unsteadiness of the water cannot affect the sun. Okay. So similarly, when one engages fully in the activities of devotional service or bhakti yoga, he becomes just like the sun reflected on water. Okay, so therefore there's this word called nirguna. One who is engaged in bhakti yoga, he is nirguna or unaffected by the qualities of the material nature. Okay. So he's so powerful. So I remember once there was this brahmachari. He asked one of the senior gurus in the movement, I have been requested to come and work, not work, but to serve in America from Mayapur. Okay. And I'm requesting for, some mercy and from some blessings from you. And the sannyasi Guru Maharaj told him that you better be careful of the three modes of material nature. You can be very, very strong, but the three modes of material nature, they can affect you anyhow. Okay. So we have to be always, praying to the Lord to save us from these three modes of material nature. All right. And also to Maya Devi to tell her that, please, I'm trying to serve your master. So please, coordinate with me in some way. All right. Or cooperate with me. Number 2, when the soul is under the spell of material nature and false ego, identifying his body as the self, he becomes absorbed in material activities. And by the influence of false ego, he thinks he's the proprietor of everything. Okay, so we all know that we are a spirit soul on a humanly journey. But we keep on identifying with this material body, with our possessions, etc., because of the false ego. The real ego is to identify that we are a spirit soul, part and parcel of the Lord, and our constitutional position is to serve the Supreme. Okay, that is the real ego. But the false ego is when we identify with our body, with our material objects, with our family, with our possessions, with our designations, etc. Right? So when the soul is under the spell of material nature and the false identification, he becomes very absorbed in all the material activities. And by influence of the false ego, he thinks, I am the owner of everything. Right? So a conditioned soul may be very good, doing all the charitable activities, helping the poor, all right, setting up the clinics, taking good care of the family. Right? So a conditioned soul can be doing all of these very, very good activities and act in the mode of goodness, but still he is conditioned under the spell of material nature. Okay? Because everything is still material. Whatever goodness he's doing, yes, he will get the result of it in the form of the fruits. Whatever good activities, you will get the results in the form of amazing fruits in this lifetime or in the next lifetime. This lifetime is great, but next lifetime, we will have to then come back to enjoy the results in the next life. And we will also realize that with every enjoyment, there is, bouts of difficulties, because this is dukkhalaya ashashvatam, right? So a devotee, however, acts completely under the direction of the Supreme Lord, because even when he's in the mode of goodness, he is then dovetailing these goodness activities as a service to the Lord. And therefore, from goodness, it becomes pure goodness. Everybody understands? Anyone don't understand, please ask me now so I can explain this again. Mauli Mataji, being good is not enough. Huh?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Okay. All right. Dorothy Mataji, Ken? Dorothy Mataji must be, while listening to the class, handling the two children, one baby.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I was halfway through handling the kid.
Okay. No problems. Okay, since no questions, then I'll move on to verse number 3. The conditioned soul therefore transmigrates into different species of life, higher or lower, because of his association with the modes of material nature. Unless he's relieved from material activities, he has to accept this position because of the faulty work. Therefore, the foolish conditioned soul may think that he's offering charity by opening hospitals or material benefit or by educating students, children, educating the poor, but he does not know that all such work is also faulty because it will not give him relief from the process of transmigration from one body to another, unless these activities are dovetailed as a service to the Lord. All it requires is just my mindset to tell myself that I'm not doing this. Okay, I'm not opening the hospital. I'm just a custodian of this wealth to use in the service of the Lord. Okay, but the good thing is, the concession is that even if we don't dovetail, what happens is we will take birth in very high family, or we may take this birth in higher planets amongst the demigods, okay, for the so-called pious activities in the material world. Okay, so Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, remember, you will be born in an aristocratic family for all the great work which you have done, or a pious activities. Okay, but to take birth in a nice place or a high family does not mean that one avoids undergoing the material tribulations, the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. So we have seen, sometimes people are born with, a diamond-studded gold spoon, but still they are not able to take advantage of this, right? So number 4. Actually, a living entity is transcendental to material existence, but because of his mentality of lording it over the material nature, his material existential condition does not cease, and therefore, just as is a dream, he is affected by all sorts of disadvantages. Okay, so yeah, the living entity is transcendental to material existence, but because of his mentality of proprietorship, all right, he will get stuck again. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 5.29 that he is the beneficiary of all the results of sacrifices and penances. Okay, so I think you have to memorize this verse, no? Anush Prabhu, Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam.
Yes, Prabhuji. Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam.
Maheshwaram, yeah.
Yes.
Right. So Krishna is the beneficiary of all the results of all sacrifices and penances. And he's also the proprietor of all the three worlds, which is Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. He's the actual friend of all living entities. But instead of leaving the proprietorship, enjoyment, and actual position as the friend of living entities to the Supreme Lord, we claim that we are the proprietors and the enjoyers and therefore the friends. Okay, so we can perform philanthropic work, donations, etc., thinking that we are the friends of human society. But if we dovetail these activities to Krishna, and if one makes friendship with Krishna, one will never be cheated and he will get all help needed. Okay, so as we speak, one of our devotee Mataji, she just went for a very simple procedure in the hospital. And during the procedure, she actually got a heart attack. And due to the heart attack, she got into a coma. All right. And she has been in the state of coma for the past few days. Amazing devotee. Amazing, amazing devotee. Right. You know. So then, the material mind will think that, oh, she's a wonderful devotee, but why is she going through this? We need to realize that Krishna is protecting our spirituality. All right. So that's between her and Krishna. You do not know what Krishna is doing to protect her devotion, to protect her spirituality. Krishna knows best. All right. So there was another, case of this top Kirtan leader in Vrindavan. Right. So about 10 years ago, while he was cooking to serve the Lord, the gas stove actually exploded and he died he died. And the material mind will think, but why does this happen? So we need to understand that Krishna has protected his devotion. For all he's already serving the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world.
Aindra Prabhuji.
Aindra Prabhu, that's right. Aindra Prabhu, right? Amazing, I still remember when I was living in India. So I used to go and listen to him in Vrindavan. I used to record his, on my MP3 player, those creative MP3 player I used to have. I'll go and sit down next to him and listen to his kirtan. And there was one Janmashtami Eve at about 10 o'clock. So I was with my two children, my wife and myself, and we were listening to, the crescendos of the kirtan just before Janmashtami, and the temple authorities receive a bomb threat. The bomb threat, the temple authorities told everybody, to calm down. No one will be allowed to go out of the temple and no one will be allowed to come in, so that there will not be chaos. All right. But his kirtan, he couldn't be bothered at all. His kirtan just went on and on, roaring kirtan until 12 o'clock. And we, simple souls, my wife, me, and my two children, we just clinged on to each other and told ourselves that if we die, we will all die together in Vrindavan, because of the bomb. And the bomb threat, of course, nothing happened. But there was again another bomb threat in Manipur, and that temple was devastated. The Maharaj who was presiding in that temple, the Sannyasi Maharaj, he had some injuries and he actually passed away a few weeks ago on the Sarah time. So yeah, Krishna protects our devotion. We will not understand this. We will not understand this. The material mind, Maya, will keep on telling us that, why is this happening, etc. But we need full trust in the Lord. All right. So being a devotee means that I have full gratitude to the Lord for all that he has given me. I have full gratitude in the Lord for all that he has not given me, because he knows what is best for me. With my punny brain, my pea-like brain, right? Pea, green peas, so small, cannot understand. Okay, but he understands it better. And therefore, we just need to have full trust in the Lord, and he will take care of us. Right? So although one can claim to be a friend, he cannot be a friend unlimitedly. Okay. So I can, give a blanket to one person, but can I give a blanket to every sadhu in the Kumbh Mela to help them in the cold? Of course I cannot. But when we become a devotee, all right, then essentially what we are doing is we are getting into the mode of pure goodness, and whatever we are helping, all right, we are helping this person, but a bigger help will be if we can get this person to also understand that he needs to start his devotional service. So, sometimes when we are seeing a beggar, we want to give some money, for someone who is worthy of some money. When we give something, always tell the person, Hare Krishna. Can you say Hare Krishna, please? Yeah, because of your few dollars or a few cents, he will certainly say Hare Krishna or smile at you. At least he had heard the Maha Mantra. Then what are you being? You are being a well-wisher of that person. Because you see, when someone is drowning, us saving the body is like, just taking out the coat, just saving the coat only. We need to also save the soul. Okay. So the best service to everyone in general is to awaken their Krishna consciousness, so they may know that the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and the supreme friend is Krishna. Okay. All right. Are you all able to go for another 10 more minutes?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, you all are saying yes, but my children in the background are saying no. All right. So, text number 5. It is the duty of every conditioned soul to engage his polluted consciousness, which is now attached to material enjoyment, in a very serious devotional service with detachment. Thus, his mind and consciousness will be under full control. And this is the process of real liberation. As soon as one engages in such serious devotional service to the Lord, naturally the propensity to falsely claim lordship or proprietorship over the material nature will disappear. Okay, exactly what Shalini Mataji always says. That detachment is called the right Vairagya. Okay, that is the real Vairagya. Right? So duty of every conditioned soul is to engage in service to the Lord. Text number 6. But before that, on text number 5, a very important point mentioned in this is that the mind is always attracted by the temporary material existence. Okay? Why? Because we have been associated with material nature since time immemorial. Remember? When the bird in the nest, that birdlet, wanted to enjoy and started playing and then poof, fall onto the ground. We wanted to enjoy independently and we came into this material world, and immediately in this material world, Maya Devi in her form of mode of goodness, passion and ignorance start attacking us. All right, so we are like, this is our natural sort of, the quasi-natural position. The mind is always attracted by the temporary material nature because we have been associated with this since time immemorial, since the birdlet fall onto the ground. So we have been accustomed to our attachment to this temporary material nature. And therefore the mind has to be fixed at the eternal lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. When you are chanting, remember the Supreme Lord's lotus feet. There was one exercise which we did with you, right? When you are chanting the first round, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You are listening to the mantra and at the same time, you are thinking of Govinda and the lotus feet of Govinda. The second mantra which you chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Your mind, instead of being distracted to what homework do I have today, what are my to-do list today, your mind can immediately think of Prahlad and Narasimhadev, okay, and Prahlad Maharaj. Two. First was Govinda and his lotus feet. All right, lotus feet of Krishna. Number 2 is thinking of Narasimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj. The third time when you're chanting, all right, you think of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. 3. The fourth, you think of Lord Ram, Mother Sita, Lakshman, and Hanumanji. 4. The fifth one, you think of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, Advaita Acharya, and then Srivas, and then Srivas Acharya. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar, and Srivas. Okay. Then the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, without whom we would not be knowing any of these scriptures. They are the ones who unearthed all the lost pastimes of Krishna. They are the ones who gave the beautiful purports to all the scriptures. Then the Sapta Rishis, all right? And then 8 will be the 8 gopis, all right? Think of the 8 gopis. And then 9, you introduce Radharani. The 8 gopis and Radharani, number 9, they are waiting for Krishna, and Krishna comes in. And then you have Krishna with Radharani and the 8. All right. So if we chant with this visualization, number 1, if we chant by hearing to the Maha Mantra, then we are not going to be distracted. All right. And somehow, I think if you are chanting, if you are able to control your breath, all right, you should be able to control your breath such that you can do 10 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, 10, and then you take another deep breath, and 10. Right? So like that, what you are doing is you are engaging all of your senses. You are doing your pranayam at the same time. Try it. Okay. So we'll stop here. It is the duty of every conditioned soul to engage his polluted consciousness, which is now engaged in material enjoyment, in a very serious devotional service with detachment. Right? Thus, his mind and consciousness will be under full control. Okay. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Okay. Right. So that was the beginning of chapter number 27. Sorry, I cannot finish. All right. I talked too much, but there's a lot of nice jewels within the Bhagavatam, and we don't have to rush. Okay. So remember, please try to say a prayer for Smriti Radhe Mataji. Right, she's admitted in the hospital, still in a state of coma. Her heart is much better, and if the Lord so desires, right, make her well. But the Lord should always protect her devotion, and in any state she is in right now, just allow the consciousness of Krishna to be, or consciousness of Mataji to be at his lotus feet. That's all we can pray for. It also tells us that life is so delicate. We make big plans, but what's going to happen? Only Krishna knows. Right? So yeah. Wherever we go, wherever we see anything, try to see the energy of Krishna in it. Try to see the hand of Krishna in everything. Okay, and anything happens, just convince myself that have full trust in Krishna. Any questions? So remember, next week, Rath Yatra. Okay, please try to go pull the Rath of the Lord. Just by pulling the Rath of the Lord, if the Lord so desires, he can give us a place. Okay, to pull his swing when the Lord is in the spiritual world. But of course, the Lord will clear our sins when we pull. But then the moment we reach the bus stop again, we start thinking, how we can engage further in the material. That's normal. Huh? Or maybe it's not normal. It's normal for me. Mahesh Prabhu, thank you very much for joining. Bhagwan Das, Hare Krishna. Leena Mataji, Hare Krishna. Mauli Mataji, Hare Krishna. Manoj Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Dorothy Mataji, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Lalita Mataji, Hare Krishna. Shamugam Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Shefali Mataji, Hare Krishna. And
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you.
Satya Mataji, thank you very much. Right. So next week, I will be in India, and Krishna willing, please pray that I may see my spiritual master and partake in the Vyasa Puja. He's very shy, so he has made it very clear he doesn't want a Vyasa Puja, but we are just doing a simple yajna. And then Krishna willing, after that, if the Lord so desires and allows, then I will go to Kumbh Mela. Okay. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Malti? No questions?
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you. Haribol.